Welcome to the channel, guys. 50 Stitches Steel. Today I'm going to go over and give you some quick tips to how to set up your basically an AR-15 with a variable powered optic, and how to set it up for success, and all the little things that kind of get missed on videos that will help you guys out in the long run. This is stuff that I've learned just over my years in serving, and just little tiny things that kind of make a big difference at the end of the day. But stay tuned. There will be a review on this. This is a Trijicon Accupower 1:8. Review will be coming after this video. But I figured before I did that, I'd kind of give you guys some tips on how to go ahead and set this up if maybe you're not too familiar with it, or even if you're familiar with it and just want some maybe a few ideas that you haven't thought about before. I'm going to go ahead and go over that real quick with you. I have it mounted on a Trijicon quick detach flush mount. As you can see, the quick detaches on the side, or they kind of fit flush on the side there, so you have nothing extra hanging out and snagging on your gear. This is a heavy optic, but it's with the weight you're getting, it's also going to give you a lot of durability. But again, this isn't an optic review right now. I'm going to go ahead and go over some tips. First thing you want to get an idea for is your mount placement. Usually around this area you're going to be okay, but it's depending on your length of your scope as well, and where your irons are set up, if you could still charge your rifle. These are all things you want to think about, and go ahead and try it out, set it up. Don't tighten nothing down, but get it on there and try some things out. I have this mount loose so I can slide it around, twist it to kind of get a feel for what I'm going to need. Like I said, go ahead and get it on there about where you think it's going to be. This is usually a good spot here. Balance will come into play, but that's going to be one of your last priorities that you're worried about. First thing, like I said, you're going to want to make sure you're able to charge your rifle. My opinion on these setups, and you don't have to agree with it, but once I have a glass optic on there, I go ahead and get rid of my irons, especially if they're going to get in the way of you having a good solid eye relief and reliable eye relief and charging your rifle. Go ahead and get rid of them. The chances of this thing falling on you and you not being able to see through it are pretty low. We're all taking chances in everything you do, so it's up to you to decide what's good for you and what's a viable solution for you. So in my opinion, I go ahead and get rid of them on anything that I have a glass optic on. There's nothing really to fail except for the glass shattering into pieces, which rarely ever happens, especially with an optic as durable as this one. So like I said, go ahead and get rid of those irons if you want to. Set it up to where you want, and then you want to go ahead and get behind the rifle and start checking on your eye relief and your positioning. Play with it as you want. Every optic's going to be different. Put it on your lowest setting. And then another great thing about that people tend to forget about is having an adjustable buttstock on a variable power optic is, I believe, is like a critical component, and nobody really talks about this, but I really prefer to have an adjustable buttstock, even on a bolt action rifle. Once you start getting, 10 power and above, your eye relief is going to change. It's not going to be the same as it is on 1 power. So go ahead and get your buttstock adjusted to where you usually shoot and what's most comfortable, even if you have a red dot on. So, that's going to vary from person to person. I can't tell you exactly where. I like to go in the middle. I want to have adjustments coming in as well, because as I turn up the power on my optic, my eye relief is going to move in more towards the optic. So instead of moving my head closer or getting in a more awkward position, distance is going to get equal time usually in a gunfight. So if I'm cranking up to that 8 power, I'm going to have the time to, for the most part, adjust my buttstock, bring it in a little bit, so I'm not changing my body position too much to get a nice clean shot off. So that's something to think about as well. Now, as you're moving this back and getting behind your optic, seeing what everything looks like through there. This is kind of hard to get through on to see through there. You don't want to worry about anything being leveled. Right now you're just checking your distances. So once you get that set up, let me take one step back. Before you even put this on here, on your mount, go ahead and wipe that clean. Take an alcohol pad, whatever. Get any kind of dust off there before you start sliding it around. Do the same thing on the outside body of your optic. That just makes things more clean, more smooth, and you don't have anything in there, any kind of debris or anything in there. Just something good to go about doing. Okay, where am I at here? Okay, now we got our distance down. I advise a quick detach on here, so you can either move it to different rifles. I plan on moving this to a hunting rifle once rifle season gets here. But even if this malfunctions or takes a critical malfunction where it's no longer useful, I can pop it on another AR and still do some work with it. You don't have to. It also makes this step easier. Quickly, it's easy to adjust around. So we'll get that done. Your next step is going to be getting your rifle level. Now this ain't level. This is just for the video, but one quick and easy thing you can get to. These are Mason levels. You can get them at your Home Depots, stuff like that, Lowe's. They usually get a string and hang these on them to get a level. But they have a flat bottom on them. So I'll usually set them up on my pick rail. I'll get my rifle level first before I even put the mount on. Next I'll put the mount on without the top on here. And then once I'm absolutely sure my rifle's level and secure, then I'll start working on the optic. Set my mount up without the top mounts on here. Put my optic on and start messing with that level. Now this one's luckily enough has a flat top, so I could go ahead and use another one. They do make levels specifically for this, but if you're just out and about and you just want to, this will get the job done. So you can just go ahead and pick these up for a couple bucks. No big deal. But once you your rifle's level, go ahead and put a level on top of your scope as well. Make sure your distance hasn't changed from where you liked it. And go ahead and set your level up and make sure that's level as well. There's another method of once you tighten everything down, you can set up a plumb line outside. Go ahead and line up your crosshairs on it, check your tracking. These are all stuff I can go over if you're interested in it. If not, I'm kind of just not trying to make this video too long for you guys, but just giving you some tips. So this works well. I like this purple Loctite. It's called Vibratite. It's similar to Loctite's 222. This stuff works well. I'm going to use these on these threads here. And that's about it. But with your adjustments, like I said, with an adjustable buttstock, once you start cranking your power up, you're going to have to get closer to that eye relief. So if you're able to, and you have the arm length too, and you're usually working in about a middle, maybe a little bit out more, that's going to work out well when you crank that power up, so you can adjust that buttstock up and you're still in a good shooting position and nice and set behind the rifle. So these are all things to take into account. Again, and once you start getting everything level, make sure you can still charge the rifle. You can adjust your dials without running into anything. This doesn't make too much of a difference where this scope is sitting, either all the way front, all the way back, or in the middle. That's going to be dependent on your use as well. Can you still turn your knobs in certain areas? Like if this was all the way forward, I might have a hard time at hitting this mount when I go to adjust it up. So that's also something to think about when you're doing this. Take all these things into account. These are priorities that you want to get done. Again, one of your first ones, you're going to want to be able to charge a rifle without knocking into something. Your next one is, and it's very important, one and two can almost be switched, your eye relief. Every time you pull that rifle up to your shoulder, you want that eye relief to be nice and wide. You don't want that dark circle coming around to where you're not getting your whole field of view. So these are things that are going to come first when you're setting this optic up. Your last priority, this isn't as important, but it makes it nice. It's kind of something that if you can't work it out, it's fine. But if you can, I would suggest doing it. the balance of your rifle, especially with a heavier optic like this. If you have your mount, say, all the way out here, which would let me push this back more, it's going to move my balance a lot more up front. That's going to tire out my arms if I'm doing a lot of mount training or urban environments, inside house, room clearing. That's going to tire me out quicker, so that's also something you want to think about. Find your balance point and try to get it over top of your center of mass if you can. But that's your last priority. That's about it. Any questions? Oh, one more thing. Make sure you get your focus adjusted to your eye. This is something that once it's set, you leave it alone. But you definitely want to, this is going to be one of the first things you try to set up. Even before you set your scope in the rifle, go ahead and take that outside and make sure you can read all your MOA or mill line adjustments inside your scope. Make sure those are all crisp. Make sure your picture is clear and crisp. That's what the focus will adjust. And once you adjust it to your eye, everyone's going to be different. Set it and forget it. Leave it there. You can make a little line to make sure it doesn't move or you don't bump it. But that's another thing you want to get set up. Any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to give my advice or opinion to you. And stay tuned for the review on this Trijicon Accupower 1:8 by 28 millimeter. Or millimeter objective. This is a 34 millimeter tube. So far, I'm in love with the glass on this optic. Highly recommend it, but I want to get some more rounds out and see how I like it at range before I give it a review on it. It's 50 Stitches. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.